Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again for another quick interview. I want to make sure that everybody at 35 West gets an opportunity to meet the vendors that really make our tour group possible. Rich Hebert is with me today, and he is one of our lender partners that has come out and support us for breakfast, which I know you guys like free breakfast. But really, he's near and dear to my heart because he's helped me out as a customer, as a client, as a friend, and as a realtor partner going back all the way to 2012 when he helped my wife and I get our first house. So I wanted to spend a couple of minutes with Rich Hebert at Lending Edge Mortgage. He is connected with Cross Country Mortgage, so has a ton of loan products available for all of you in just about every situation. And I'm just going to ask a couple of questions and do a little getting to know you session and allow everybody to hear a little bit from Rich. So, hi, Rich.
Hey, how are you doing? Thanks for having me on, Tony.
Absolutely, my pleasure. It looks like you're working on a Saturday.
A little bit, yes.
Well, hopefully that wasn't just for me, but this could be valuable. I'll make sure that everybody has your contact information if they're looking for a lender to put into their stable to recommend to their clients.
Well, thank you.
So just a few quick questions. Like I mentioned before, we've been friends and connected since 2012, going way back. What do you think has changed about the mortgage industry in that time? It's like 14 years.
It is. Obviously, we had the meltdown prior to that, 2008, which really changed a lot of things. And, as the years move on, they're evolving kind of how we do things and tightening up things. So, I mean, bottom line, we want to do the best loans. It makes for a healthier economy, a healthier market. And it just, it's really the verifications and the depth of verifications and making sure people qualify and they don't get put in a bad position.
Yeah, absolutely. We as agents, we think about that bad position all the time. We want to make sure that, our clients are ready to get to the closing table before we ever pick out a house. We don't want the anxiety of wondering if the deal can stay together, especially in a market like this where it's upwards of 15% of them are falling out. And, listing agents have to find new buyers and buyers have to go out and try again. And it's just crazy. So, thinking about those types of clients that are kind of on the edge of their approval, maybe it's just a really tight timeline, or maybe they've got a tricky income situation, or, we're concerned about whether or not the house will appraise. What do you do? What decisions do you make to kind of keep things moving in a positive direction?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. So I think, touring a home should not be the first step. Getting pre-qualified should be the first step. The biggest surprises I get from people is they've talked to somebody online that was not familiar with our taxes or insurance in our market, and they gave them lowball numbers. If they get on some of the online stuff, they can run calculators. Most of the time, it's just giving them principal and interest numbers. So when I start giving them the real numbers, they're either shocked or not prepared, or they're looking at the wrong sales price. And so prepared buyers win more often. And so we try to prepare everybody up front, and smooth closings are engineered early. And
Yes.
so what I mean by that is the earlier, I don't care if you're a year out, let's look at what your budget is, where do you want your payment, and what your credit is. Let's look at where your employment is. Has anything changed? Is there anything that's going to create stress as we're moving along this process? And if we do all of this up front, which there's really no time too early to start, then it removes that stress. It makes our offer stronger and it makes your job easier. And we end up with happier buyers and customers.
Absolutely. I think there's a number of agents, especially when they're new, make this mistake, during this pre-approval process. And, maybe they don't ask enough questions of their lender partner too, to kind of find out how strong the file is. And it ends up creating problems later. So tell me about your version of a pre-approval versus maybe some of those online brokers, and what it actually means to have a pre-approval from you versus say a web portal.
Okay. And that's a great question. There's a huge difference. So if you call me today and say, hey, my wife and I's income are this, our credit score is this, and this is our budget. I'm going to try to say, okay, what sales price are you looking at? Really dig in deep to all those numbers. I'm going to pull your credit. We do a soft pull so it does not hurt your credit. It does not reduce your credit score at all. And so we look at that. We know if there's any surprises. I want your incomes for your pay stubs and W-2s, depending upon how long you've been on your job. The more in depth we do, I mean, wouldn't you rather I call you and say, hey, you need to put your home search off for a couple of weeks until we can figure this out. I need to get with the underwriter. Or if I say, hey, Tony, you and your wife look great right now. You're ready to go out and look at homes. I can call your agent and say, we're going to take them and get them fast tracked approved. So it's fully all the way through underwriting. But this way, it removes a lot of your stress up front. And that's what you don't want surprises along the way. And
Absolutely.
that's a nightmare. And so
I
that's what,
think that's what I love about you most, Rich, is that you take care of those surprises. I'm not freaked out at the end of a deal.
well, when we run the numbers, we'll look up taxes. So customers call me. I'm happy to send estimates. We talk about rates. So they need to find their loan scenario first. Don't get online. The internet can be so confusing on the advice that it gives out there because one answer doesn't fit all different types of scenarios and their circumstances. And so we constantly look. FHA loans have different interest rates, VAs, conventionals, whether you're putting 3% down, 20% down, or 50% down. All those factors will change based off of credit score, down payment. I mean, just a lot of things. So what type of loan it is. So you can't just call me up and say, hey, what are your rates today? We've got to look at a lot of different factors, just like, hey, I can't go show you a home until I know how many bedrooms you want and all the specific little boxes that you're hoping to check off for those customers.
That's right. When we sit down with our buyers, we call it a strategy session. We're looking to find out what you have to offer in order to get into the market, and then we've got to have a strategy to achieve your goals. So, when we're talking about those strategies in our buyer meetings, we're trying to put together a playbook, and that buyer playbook really has steps for us to get to their success. So, what do you think are the first three steps that you would want somebody to take before we started touring homes?
I think really financial clarity is the number one step. They've got to know, okay, what could my payments possibly be, on the high side and the low side. So if you call me and say, hey, I do not want to go over a $3,500 a month payment, let's don't look at a $450,000 home with minimum down. We just can't get there mathematically.
Right.
And you don't want to have your heart broken. You don't want to go out and show them and break their heart and say, oh, wow, the numbers aren't going to match up. So their lending strategy, what type of loan are they going to get? Do they have a home to sell? How much are they going to net from that sale? Do we need to do a bridge loan maybe? Get money up front. Can they get a gift? So, knowing all those things, and really the third thing is market readiness. So once we know all those first two things, we're going to know, are they ready? Have they figured out if we're getting a gift program or not? Are they getting a bonus at work? Are they waiting for a tax return refund? So having all those little pieces in place keeps people from going out and wasting their time and maybe having their dreams crushed.
I love that step three, that market ready, because that really dovetails into what we do during that buyer strategy meeting. Because we're trying to coordinate their timing. Are they
Mhm.
coming out of a lease? Are they selling another home? What other pressures are we trying to get to match up? And
Mhm.
that's why this is a somewhat complicated process in the background. We're the ducks on the pond. We're the ones doing all this background stuff to make sure that they're cruising into the new property smoothly. So I think that that's a great way to build that playbook. So, you
Yeah.
know, what do you think is something, again, moving your fins on the bottom of the water there, what do you think is one thing that clients don't see behind the scenes, but it's really the reason why a closing ends up being smooth?
I think what they really don't see is everything that we do in the background. So we're looking at their income, the stability of it, averaging it. Is it up? Is it down from last year? We're doing a lot of things in the background. I'm getting with the underwriter, calling and saying, "Hey, I'm figuring income this way. How would you figure it?" I mean, I'm studying my guidelines. I know what the answer should be, but we're just making sure that there's nothing that could slow this process down or create really any kind of problems as we're moving forward. I mean, we want to make their dreams come true. I want this to be a smooth closing. I want them to give you a good, report on me. I want them to come back because you and I are going to be the resources long after closing. And, whether they have questions on value, taxes, all these things we need would still be involved after closing. It's not just from day one, it's actually after closing is when we can help them the most too.
That's great, Rich. Well, this is what happens when we work from home, right?
Uh,
I've got somebody knocking on the door and the dog barking. I wanted to thank you so much for spending some time with me today and kind of showcasing what you do. Just a moment, okay? And showcasing what you do. I'll go ahead and get this information out to everybody, and we hope to connect with you and share this info with our buyers too.
okay, great. Well, thank you for your time. And I look forward to working with your buyers and helping them out. So appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Sorry for the disruption.
Goodbye. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Take, take care.